Hello and a very warm welcome to Tech Circle. It's a new year and we are back with a fresh episode of Tech This Week, where we bring you up to speed with the most important weekly developments in the enterprise and emerging technology space in India. In today's episode, we discuss enterprise software giant SAP's plans to advance multi-cloud strategy in India, Karan Bajwa's elevation as Google's head for APAC cloud operations, Central Bank's new guidelines for digital payments infra fund, fresh numbers from NPCI on the record UPI transaction in December 2020, IRCTC's collaboration with app developer CoRover, and the top funding deals that made to news this week. I'm Shweta Sharma, and joining me from the Tech Circle newsroom are my colleagues Payal Ganguly, Supriya Roy, and Debangna Ghosh. Hi. We'd like to open with much greetings for the new year and wish to see much less from the last time show.
How was your weekend, Shweta? Are you looking forward to the next one now?
Oh, yes, obviously. And today's Friday, so just looking forward to the weekend. 2020 was a year of record unprecedented with the world skipping offices and working from home. And along those lines, it was only natural for the digital and cloud platforms to pick up. Building on that momentum is a recent update that says SAP is looking to invest 500 crore rupees to accelerate multi-cloud strategy in India.
Yes, the German enterprise software major is looking to localize and offer a multi-cloud choice to its customers in India. With the pandemic hitting us last year, the demand for cloud has shot up like never before, and all the top cloud players like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, IBM Cloud, Oracle Cloud, Salesforce, almost all of them have rushed to fulfill the demand created in this space.
That's right, Debangna. In fact, on the same lines, according to a recent report published by IDC and Micro Focus, 80% of enterprises worldwide will be equipped for cloud move by the end of 2021. Now, that's some progress from last year, right?
Oh, yeah, intensifying this competition, Google is also expected to establish its second India cloud region in Delhi this year. And separately this week, Google Cloud elevated its India head Karan Bajwa to that of the new leader of the entire APAC cloud business.
What's the thinking here, Supriya?
Shweta, essentially Karan will move from Gurugram to Singapore. Yeah, but we know that Singapore is what is Singapore to the whole of Asia is what is Bangalore to India. Great location for a go-to-market strategy. Seismically safe, amaze, talent base, and all that jazz. And the Southeast markets of Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, and all of its rising technology-enabled businesses, unicorns, all of these companies will want to benefit from the kind of cloud expertise that players like AWS, Microsoft, and Google have built over the years. And also the general uptake in the need to digitally transform businesses over cloud.
Yep, the current earnings season will testify to that. TCS kicks it off today.
Oh yeah, today. Yeah. So, but in the APAC region, Google Cloud Services, the likes of Tech Mahindra, L&T Finance, Wipro, Samsung Electronics, Foxconn, and Kia Motors. So Bajwa will now lead all regional revenue and go-to-market operations for Google Cloud, which will include Google Cloud Platform (GCP) and the Google Workspace, which is formerly called the Google G Suite. Google Cloud currently operates 8 regions in the Asia Pacific area and 22 regions globally. So the new region, like you mentioned previously, will be additive. That will be the second Indian cloud region in Delhi that is set to open by 2021.
Looks like the beginning of the year is also an opportunity to take stock. The banking regulator has made a few announcements this week. So Payal, do you have more details on it?
Yes, Debangna. RBI did make a few announcements in keeping with its Vision 2021 document, which it had released 2 years back. So what RBI did essentially was announce the framework to set up Payments Infrastructure Development Fund for expanding the payment acceptance in Tier 3, 4 and beyond centers. So when it was announced in 2019, the fund size was said to be rupees 500 crore and was meant to promote the point of sale terminals across these, Tier 3 and beyond centers. So far, RBI has managed to collect 345 crore for this fund, out of which 250 crore came from its own coffers.
And for more on that, we have with us Dilip Modi, Chairman and Group CEO of NSE-listed DigiSpice Technologies and founder of Spice Money. Spice Money operates as this rural fintech player, which I'm sure, like other fintech players in the country, would seek to participate in the central bank's game plan with PIDF.
Hi, Dilip. Thank you so much for joining us on Tech This Week. I hope you've been having a good day so far.
Hi, Supriya. Thank you for having me on the call.
Great. Now, it's been a while since fintechs and new age digital payment players have been theoretically viewed as this potentially solid pillar on the block of the entire financial system in the country. That's alongside the banks. And the Reserve Bank has made it more clearer than ever if you were to go by its recent line of communications. With the PIDF, it looks like a very promising start for fintechs such as yours, Spice Money, at 2021. So what I'm getting at is that at a macro level, how are fintechs such as yours looking forward to this landmark sense of validation from the regulator?
Well, Supriya, the way I look at it is, I think it's a progression in the direction that RBI has been going in terms of driving digital financial inclusion in the country. I think what's exciting about the PIDF scheme is that it's targeted towards tier 3 to tier 6 markets with the goal of increasing payment acceptance infrastructure to drive digital financial inclusion. I think players like us at Spice Money are very, very excited by this because our focus has been in the rural areas. We are focusing ourselves as a rural fintech. We've already rolled out over 500,000 ATM points in the country, and now with the PIDF scheme, we are really looking at how to roll out, on the back of this, a card payment acceptance infrastructure. So I think the scheme is a real step forward in RBI and the government's commitment to driving digital financial inclusion deep into rural India. And so I guess it's a great opportunity for fintechs to really work together with RBI and the regulator to see how to benefit from this in terms of getting financial inclusion down into deep into rural India.
Right. At a company level, with the focus that Spice Money has in rural fintech, I want to know, of course, with the PIDF framework, the RBI has gone ahead and specified a bit about the advisory council, a bit about how the deployment by acquirers would be, meted out. So on that end, at a company level, what are the plans that you potentially see to be derived out of this plan, as and when the details are meted out and, you really figure out how to go about the reimbursement scheme or the way to approach RBI to set up these plans for the future?
Yeah, well, we at Spice Money, Supriya, are committed to digitally and financially empowering over 10 million entrepreneurs in rural India, and a lot of it will be the merchants in rural India, for which I see the scheme as very, very relevant. So I think in our journey to, get over 10 million entrepreneurs empowered digitally, we will work closely with the advisory council and look forward once the guidelines are issued in terms of how we can play a substantial role in enabling this rollout to happen. And since we already have an infrastructure on the ground and we have been working on it over the last 2 years, we really hope that we can contribute in a significant way in helping, PIDF meet its goals and contribute to it significantly.
Perfect. That sums it. And thank you so much for your time and sharing your thoughts as well with us.
Thanks, Supriya. You take care. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
So didn't RBI also announce the Digital Payments Index to track the extent of payment digitization in the country?
That's right, Devangna. In fact, the DPI will measure the penetration of digital payments over different time periods based on certain key metrics the RBI has mentioned, which includes supply-side payment infrastructure, demand-side payment infrastructure, payment performance, and consumer centricity, among other factors.
Right, Payal. And to add to that, UPI clocked in $2.2 billion worth of transactions just for the month of December. It
That's
crossed
right.
the $1 billion mark, dollar transaction value mark in October previously.
Right. Yeah, and it was largely because of uptake of digital payments, definitely, but also people's unwillingness to transact in cash due to the pandemic. And looks like most of the payment industry is working towards contactless payments, as germophobia is probably here to stay and will watch out for us this year.
Yeah, right. And we are yet to see the product innovations that come out of the sandbox companies RBI has picked for the new payment technologies.
That's right. Moving on, Microsoft Azure-powered Ask Disha, the AI-enabled customer service chatbot of IRCTC, has apparently improved the railway company's customer engagement satisfaction by 70%. Turns out that the happy customer IRCTC is now partnering with the developer of the bot, CoRover, to co-sell and resell their products and the services to other government and private organizations across the industry.
That's quite a deal for a startup. I haven't heard much about CoreOver though.
Never used it either.
So CoreOver's chatbot was actually launched in 2018 and it services around 150,000 passenger queries daily for IRCTC across social media, phone calls and emails. Apparently, it has an accuracy rate of 90% on giving feedback.
Wow. But what about this IRCTC deal that Payal is mentioning about?
Well, that's a bunch of unanswered queries actually. I mean, it would have been interesting to know why IRCTC is looking to venture in this business. It's not like it develops AI-driven products in-house. Also, what kind of revenue sharing will be in place and how CoreOver even managed to get them into a partnership in the first place? And in what ways is the partnership going to benefit them? Microsoft for sure is closely working with the team.
Right. It would be interesting to know what features and configurations to expect also because like probably travel was hit last year. Maybe it'll pick up this year and it'll have more.
Exactly. So all the queries were sent out, but it went unanswered as the company didn't want to talk about about the only news point, I would say, in the release that they had sent out.
Oh, they didn't comment on the commercial nature of the partnership, nothing.
Nothing. I had in fact shared the queries and I did a 2-round email query session with them. So they just what I'm saying.
No, it's interesting because this is it's not like it's the first time that IRCTC is ever using technology to improve its operations. Just because we go by the consumer experience, it has given over the years. But in fact, in 2018, I remember it had partnered with IBM to use AI for crowd management during Kumbh Mela in Allahabad.
Right.
All right, moving to the top funding announcements of the week, we saw B2B e-commerce company Udaan raising a massive $280 million from existing and new investors. The company is the fastest startup to have achieved unicorn status in India and has so far raised a total of $1.15 billion.
Next on the list is credit card platform Cred, which raised $81 million in its Series C round led by returning investor DSP Global. Along with the fresh infusion, the company has also bought back shares, ESOPs worth $1.2 million from existing and former employees. The company's first ever buyback initiative, and eligible employees were able to sell up to 50% of their vested ESOP shares. So looks like something they should look forward to.
Yeah, apart from Cred, I think there were other ESOP buybacks and expansion of pool. I remember writing about Upgrad, which said that, it's expanded its ESOP pool to include 600 new employees. Moving on to the next funding, Bengaluru-based agri-tech firm Cropin Technologies also raised $20 million from the impact investment arm of Temasek Trust, ABC World Asia, which was set up 2 years ago.
And lastly, payment startup BharatPe raised about $8.2 million from venture debt firm Innovan Capital, which it plans to utilize to fund its NBFC arm and to offer credit lines to its small merchant base.
And with this, it's a wrap on this episode of Tech This Week. Do stay tuned in and logged on to techcircle.in for more interesting news and updates. Have a great year ahead. Thank you very much for listening.